fact, but for some poor fielding, the West Indies would have had victory in their pockets tonight. A let-off this time for Gower. So England must survive one more day to save this test match. As long as Boycott is there and the clouds are low, they have a chance. But the signs for the rest of the series are very ominous. If the West Indies fast bowlers can sweep them aside so easily on this slow wicket, what on earth are they going to do in Barbados and Jamaica? This is Tony Francis.
Then, just before tea, the rain which had threatened all day came down and looked as though it might save the match, though not the tourists' pride. The whole party is depressed and know they've been given a lesson. But then it cleared again, and the West Indies cleaned up the tail-enders for the victory they deserved. There must be a major rethink in the England camp before the second test match in Guyana.
You said at one stage of the match that if we could lose it, heads would roll. Are you prepared to say which heads?
I said that, and I don't say it in the context that the media took it, and as usual, the media take in the context that they won.
Well, how did you mean it?
I just meant it in the sense that I felt that the wicket, we shouldn't get bowled out on it, and I didn't mean it in the context that I was going to go around and chop people's heads off. It was a game where, and unfortunately, the bounce got a little bit more uneven as the game went on, and their bowlers bowled very well on it, and there's no more you can say. All credit to them, but there's still 4 more games to go, so...
Holding and Roberts took 3 wickets each. Our sports correspondent, Tony Francis, reports from Trinidad.
There was no doubt about the outcome here. They were even predicting the time of the execution. But never mind about tea, Garner hardly gave Boycott time to digest his breakfast. So that was the way it was going to be. Roberts too whipped up some early life out of the wicket. And Gower, having promised so much, was gone already. The tenser it became, though, the better Boycott played. He relishes this type of challenge. One end was secure then, but no one could stay at the other, least of all Miller, who's flattered by his position in the order. That was 100 test wickets for Croft and 4 down for England. Botham's moment had come to save his side. He took it without a helmet. It was far too hot and sticky for that. England were making a real fight of it until Lloyd changed to an all-spin attack. And then Botham perished as we've seen him perish so often. And the West Indies quite naturally were delighted. Nothing up to now, though, had disturbed Boycott. But Holding sent them into raptures when, from nowhere, he released a real snorter at the England opener. Haynes took the catch, and the West Indies had captured the wicket they prized most. Their joy was a tribute to a great batsman.
Well, I was a bit sick. I mean, people say to you, well, it's better getting out at 70 with a ball like that than it is at naught. I said, yeah, that's okay, but I said, opening the innings over the years, one expects to get out now and again to the new ball. One can't avoid it, and especially in this calibre of cricket, with the finest bowling attack in the world since 30, 40 years, that you're bound to get out once or twice.
And après Boycott, le déluge, with Andy Roberts keen to wrap it up before the rain came back. Downton, 7th out at 163. And Roberts in this mood was far too much for the lower order, as John Embury was about to discover. Peter Willey was the last line of defence. He'd played well for 21 when Garner struck. As far as the West Indian supporters were concerned, Carnival was here a week early. There was the small matter of 1 more wicket, but it wasn't long before Chris Old obliged with that. Ian Botham had threatened that heads would roll if England lost. I asked him, whose heads?
Heads for all? No way. Yeah, the lads, there's a lot of guts shown out there today, and all right, we lost, but we lost honourably.
Do you feel there's any way really you can beat this side, though, because they seem to be superior in all departments with respect to England?
Well, of course they can be beaten. And they only drew in New Zealand. I don't think New Zealand are anywhere near as good a side as us. And I'm more than convinced that if we get things right and have a little bit of luck, obviously they're a better side on paper than us, but we're a young side and we've got a lot of guts, and the guys, I think, will come through.
And so to Guyana with more questions than answers. But now the West Indies have scented victory. It's going to be that much harder for England to fight back.
He turned up late, not realising the last day's play started half an hour early, but the fast bowlers quickly made up for lost time. David Gower out. He called it a silly shot and England was sliding. Geoff Boycott refused to allow his composure to be destroyed, even though subjected to a barrage of bouncers. The crowd liked it, but Jeff Miller never looked sound in his short innings. Croft's 100th Test wicket, England 103 for 4. If ever a captain's innings was required from Ian Botham, this was it, especially after his warning recently that if this match were lost, heads would roll. He batted soundly for an hour before seeming to lose concentration completely. Michael Holding took the catch with great ease. The ever-patient Boycott was visibly angered as the wickets fell, but he at least had the consolation of being dismissed by a brilliant delivery from Holding and a first-class catch by Haynes. Then, just before tea, the rain which had threatened all day came down and looked as though it might save the match, though not the tourists' pride. The whole party is depressed and know they've been given a lesson. But then it cleared again, and the West Indies cleaned up the tail-enders for the victory they deserved. There must be a major rethink in the England camp before the second Test match in Guyana.
You said at one stage of the match that if we could lose it, heads would roll. Are you prepared to say which heads?
I said that, and I didn't say it in the context that the media took it, and as usual, the media take it in the context that they won.
Well, how did you mean it?
I just meant it in the sense that I felt that the wicket, we shouldn't get bowled out on it, and I didn't mean it in the context that I was going to go around and chop people's heads off. It was a game where, unfortunately, the bounce got a little bit more uneven as the game went on, and their bowlers bowled very well on it, and there's no more you can say. All credit to them, but there's still 4 more games to go, so who knows?
Well, he's right. There are 4 tests to go. Here are the dismal details of the first one. England losing by an innings and 79 runs after winning the toss and putting the West Indies in. As you can see, England again destroyed by the pace of Holding, Roberts, Garner and Croft, with only Geoff Boycott offering any real...
to make an unexpected U-turn over Germany. The error...
A school playground.